a young perspective on hot-button issues around the world. This is The Hub.
China has been wrapping up its 14th five-year plan, a period that has seen some progress in technology, a strong push toward green development, and steady advances in high-quality growth. As the country prepares for the 15th five-year plan, the world is watching to see how China will continue to transform its growth model, deepen reforms, and contribute to global stability. Today, we're joined by a group of young foreign students who bring a fresh perspective to China and the world. Many of them have studied, worked, or traveled across China, experiencing firsthand the changes shaping daily life and the nation's growth. So what is their take on China's next chapter? With the draft plan of the 15th five-year plan already on the table, how do they see China's priorities for the next 5 years? Today, we're joined online by Salsa Senja, researcher and PhD candidate at Tsinghua University. Hello, welcome. Also by Akweme Stella Oguchuwu, PhD candidate in Information and Communication at the Communication University of China. Welcome. Victor Mula is Master of International Relations at the School of Social Sciences of Tsinghua University. Welcome. And here with me in the studio is David Kolosov, PhD candidate in Comparative Politics at the School of International Studies of Peking University. A very warm welcome to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Who should I start with? Maybe a good rule of thumb is to start with ladies first. And since we're in China, another rule of thumb is 有朋自远方来，不亦乐乎, right? Whoever comes from the farthest place, and that would be you, Stella. Nigeria, our friend, welcome. Let me ask you about the student life there. CUC is my alma mater. I spent a very memorable 4 years there. Tell us about how this campus has been treating you, how the China life has been treating you so far.
Thank you so much. For CUC, I have been in CUC for 6 years. Wow. So it's been a very impressive and a great experience because I did decide to stay here. I did my degree here, I did my master's here, and now it's PhD. So that should tell you that I do enjoy staying here. I do enjoy the school. I love it here, and that is why I am here. And for the campus life, CUC is very inclusive, it's very comfortable, and it's very equipped. So I would say she is a dream. That is why I'm here. Thank you.
Very good. We have two students from Tsinghua University. Salsa, you studied sports and neuroscience. Tell us about how the student life has been at Tsinghua.
It's been so great. So anyway, I also did my master here in China, here in Beijing. So this is, I don't know, like maybe 5 years here in China. So that's why I do another degree here in China, in Beijing especially, because right now, like educations in China, it's a very, very interesting, you know, like, and I did both my master in Chinese, both my master and PhD in Chinese. Campus life it's a lot of Olympic athletes in here also.
I
so
know the best swimmers. We have the 2012 breaststroke champion who broke the world record, and that record still holds. Was your alum,
right?
Tsinghua.
So yeah, Tsinghua, it's great for especially also for sport and neuroscience and the labs. Wow.
Talking about sport, we have a student representative from the kingdom of sport, the kingdom of football. Victor, let me turn to you. How would you characterize your China life so far? What words would you use to characterize, summarize your China and student life?
Well, I've been in China for almost 10 years now. So before I had a vast experience in China before coming to study. So I think the biggest difference is there is a huge difference on inside campus life and outside campus life. They're different. I don't think there's better or worse, but as Salsa mentioned, Tsinghua campus is just a city, is a world in its own. You have everything that you need inside. Sometimes I go days on end without leaving campus because daily life is just inside campus, and this is really recurrent here. But I do try to tell my other classmates that, like, you should go out and enjoy life at society at large as well, because sometimes you can forget it, being all involved in your studies and your work, and like we should also go out. But so far so good. I mean, people ask me, being 10 years in China, and then they ask me, do you like it? I was like, I don't think you ever stay 10 years in a place if you don't like it. You can, if you don't like it, you can stay like a couple of years for a master's work or something. But 10 years, definitely too much if you don't like it.
Very good. You know, there has been this, just like football, Argentina and Brazil had this rivalry going back decades, Pele versus Maradona. And in China, academically, there has been this rivalry between Beida and Tsinghua. And let me ask you, David, you're from Beida, right?
Yeah, I'm doing my PhD in Peking University right now.
But your China story updated way back since 17 when you first studied Chinese. What made you get interested in China and the Chinese culture in the first place?
Why did I get interested in Chinese culture? I think it's a really difficult question for me. Because if you like something, you don't have to have a reason for that. I just like Chinese. When I was in my city and I just on my way from my primary school home, I just thought, why don't you learn Chinese? And that was so random.
There must be a trigger, like a book that you came across, or a piece of music, or dance, or the Chinese calligraphy. What was it?
I would say that just was Chinese characters. You know, Chinese characters are so fascinating. So if you compare Chinese letters, Chinese characters with letters from other countries, there was something magical in it, and you cannot help but wonder, what is it? What's it behind that? And when I started to learn Chinese culture, I just was fascinated by deepness. And I got to China in 2011 and stayed here since then.
Many of you, actually, all of you, speak very good Chinese, fluent Chinese, which is always amazing to see as a native speaker. It's always inspiring to see someone learning our language as well as we do. Do you think that makes a difference? I mean, being able to read and write and speak Chinese, having Chinese friends and getting information from the Chinese language sources, reading Chinese classics, you think that makes a difference when you compare that against some friends from the West who's never been to China but who are commenting on China and imagining China from a stereotypical point of view?
Absolutely, because cultural shock is a big thing. For me, before I came to China, I could already speak Chinese. So my cultural shock would not be compared to someone who doesn't speak any Mandarin, who hasn't come in contact with China or the Chinese people before stepping into China. So, speaking Mandarin or being exposed to the culture before coming actually is a big step. It helps a lot when it comes to the relationship and exchange of information.
Victor, on the a broader side of things, China has been on this path towards modernization. As a foreign student studying international relations and social sciences, how do you look at China's, progress along the way toward modernization?
What China did, I think no country ever in human history has ever done what China did in the speed that it was done. China managed to lift 800 million people out of poverty in just 50 years. Now we're just talking since the 70s. And this is an astonishing achievement. How it was done, I am not an economist, but the opening up of China was done in a way that suited Chinese reality. And I think this is the biggest learning from me, which is like China found its own way against a very unfriendly scenario and environment at the time. But it found its own way through continuous efforts, as you mentioned, continuous governments that had a plan, that still stick to these plans and made adjustments to the plans as they were necessary. Because, of course, things change, we learn things, we change our view on things, and this is human. But China found its own way, and I would like to see in the future, I don't think the Chinese model should be used in other countries. What has to be learned is that each country should be looking for the model that suits its own realities. This is the real lesson to learn from China's economic development. China has its own characteristics that are intrinsic to China, its size, its people, its ethnic variety, its neighbors, everything that a geopolitics study, all the aspects, right? Chinese culture, Chinese heritage, everything. Every country has their own to smaller, greater degree. But the lesson here is to find a model of development that works for you and stick with it and adjust it, which is what China is doing now. We see continuous adjustments, right? Even to this day, even China reached this level of development, there's still further adjustments, fine-tuning, new ideas and new industries being opened up. So I think the big lesson is look what works for you. China did it in a very successful way. The numbers don't lie. Reality doesn't lie. And I think this is the biggest lesson to be drawn from.
David, Victor just made a very important point in that some societies and cultures think there can be a universality of a certain political model that can be applied to all of humanity, where China does not necessarily think that is the case, at least not the current leadership. But the leadership argues that each country should have their own models, adapting to changing circumstances. What are the aspects of the Chinese political model, a model of governance, that impress you the most?
Can I take these questions from 2 points of views? First of all, I want to mention that the advantage of studying Chinese politics in China is just because, Chinese professors, they also teach Western politics. But when Chinese professors teaching the Western politics, they also compare it along with Chinese traditional ideas. So I actually studied politics in the universities in the United States, and they were only speaking about, and they were only familiar with Western political thoughts.
American-centric.
And when you study politics in Chinese universities, you're also going to have such advantage to compare to political thoughts. And what I want to say from my perspective, there are more universal things in the world than we think. For instance, I'll give you a simple example. Just right now, we were speaking about science, and when we speak about natural science, of course, we going to have some universal ideas. We cannot say that mathematics is different in the United States or in China, or Russian mathematics is different from Japanese mathematics. But when we speak about politics, we could see many possibilities. And I want to just mention that a great philosopher in the West, Aristotle, he separated two knowledges of theories. The first one would be theoretical knowledge, and the second one would be practice wisdom. And when we speak about politics, we are actually speaking about practice wisdom. So why did Greece had developed a really good kind of political model? It's just because in the past, Greece had many small city-states, and each city-state was really small, and it had really different regimes. And when they traveled across many countries, they just noticed that in many places there are different regimes. So they were started thinking about possibilities of kind of political regimes. Okay, so what we see right now, actually, I wouldn't separate modernization only in dichotomy, like either or, like non-Western countries modernization or Western countries modernization. If we look carefully at Western experience, if you just compare the UK, for instance, and the USA, we actually have really different regimes there. UK is monarchy, and in the US we have its president. And if you compare American president with French president, you could see that how their power is organized in different ways. So what I want to say that even in the West, each country is based in your own tradition. So finally, what I want to say, that Chinese political experience is also based in its own tradition, and there is nothing bad, but there is almost a lot of good things, positive moments about that. And only after understanding that, we can speak about Chinese modernization. So to summarize what I want to say, while we speaking about differences of modernization, we are not going to go to social relativism. We just want to say that modernization on itself has universal basis, but in different countries it has its own traditions.
Della, let me turn to you. I mean, Nigeria is such a fascinating country. It's, if I'm correct, the most populous country on the African continent, one of the top 10 populous countries anywhere in the world. And Nigeria, along with our African brothers, of course, are also striving for their path towards modernization, better roads and bridges and infrastructure and public facilities. How do you look at China's development model? What aspect of it fascinates you the most?
Yes, you are correct. Nigeria is very populated, is among the fast-growing population in the world. And just like everybody has said, when it comes to development, I feel like it's different for everybody. And when it comes to China development policy, I say that it's very fascinating because the one mind direction, it's very important, and it actually suits and applies very well to the Chinese people. And I feel like that is why the Chinese development has gone as far as it is today. And of course, not saying that that applies to everybody, because coming from as a Nigerian, I know that we also have our own definition and classification when it comes to development and our own direction. However, the Chinese direction is actually really fascinating. And actually, I feel like there should be more studies done on the one direction point of view that brings everybody together to work together to make sure that something takes place. I think that is why the Chinese development has gone as far as it has gone today.
Salsa, you are representing another very important country, Indonesia, that is the seat of ASEAN, a 10-member state that is currently China's largest trading partner. Indonesia, of course, being this mega country, comprising many archipelagos and islands, and a fast developing economy, a growth center in Southeast Asia. How would you compare, China's growth model and its experience and its current influence on the world?
Indonesia, China, the relationship right now, super good, super close, because our investor, from China to Indonesia, it's now larger, economic, and then we have the first ever Gaotie, the speed train, is also from China.
Yeah, from Bandung to Jakarta.
Yeah. Yes, Jakarta to Bandung, which is it will be. They said will be continuing to Surabaya, which is also the mega city here in Indonesia. So what I'm saying is, economic Indonesia also helping by Chinese governments, and then I'm also myself have help kind of things in the Indonesian's embassy here in Beijing, which is I also know about our investor is really like to come to Indonesia for the economics. And then the pretty things is right now is a lot of job hiring, but need to speak Chinese. So that's why right now Indonesians people starting to learn Chinese. Before maybe English, but right now because all investor, all the company rapidly grow in Indonesia, investor and stuff. So right now job hiring, it's need you to speak Chinese, which is it's I think maybe 5 years or 10 years by now, Mandarin maybe is one of the important language in the world. So that's why I'm also happy by myself that maybe you guys in here too, foreign students in Liu Shuaishang also can speak Chinese. Is also will be benefit for us 5 or 10 years by now.
So Stella, tell us about how you see Chinese policy efficiencies, especially when it comes to 5-year plans, and what you look forward to when China maps out this next 5-year plan.
And when it comes to the 5-year plan, I'm very interested to see how it adapts to change, because we all know that change is constant, just like Victor said. I'm very interested to see how this will be implemented when things change, especially how now that we have per se an AI-driven society. I would really like to see how it can be implemented when it comes to intercultural relationship, because that is where my focus is. how this 5-year plan would affect intercultural relationships, how it can deepen, how it can help us understand the next step to take this cross-cultural communication, where we can take it to how we can take it to the next step.
Yeah, I mean, cultural interconnectedness is one part of this 15th five-year plan. It has not been voted into law, which will happen hopefully next March, next spring, during the two sessions. And currently, we're deliberating on its specifics. It has, come out of the party central committee stage. Salsa, let me ask you: in this draft plan of the 15th five-year plan, it talked a lot about technology, the next round of leap forward in artificial intelligence. What do you anticipate as China rolls out its next five-year plan?
That my friends already told, China rapidly technology to its amazing progress. For 5 years plan, I think as us student and researcher to anticipate that way, we need to more open for the AI. The thing is, maybe 5 years by now, it will be half development by in the neuroscientific way. My professor say that we need to open for the technology, not only for the traditional things, because in the labs, what I'm saying is we still do it traditional, we do, because if fail, we need to recover again from the first method. Maybe the next 5 years, we need to be ready if it will be helpful for us scientists in the labs.
Yeah, certainly there's a lot of hallucination when it comes to AI, artificial intelligence. There's worry about AGI spreading technology beyond human control, the militarization of AI-controlled and mastered weaponry. Those are all real concerns. Victor, what are you most looking forward to as China announces and rolls out its 15th five-year plan?
Looking ahead, the reading of the leadership, I think, will be really interesting to see. We live in complicated times. What am I looking for in the 5-year plan? To be a very concise and objective answer is what is the leadership looking forward specifically? I think the plan will be, we talk about the macro guidance, but what are those macro guidances in a world with increased uncertainty? I think these will be the terminology they use, how they describe. A lot of my research is focused on speech analysis, which I think is fundamental, especially in a highly symbolic culture that is China. And this is essential because China is playing an increasingly important role in the world. I think there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, well, we'll see that hopefully in a few months. David, how would you envision what China would be in the next 5 years?
What now I'm concerned about the future Chinese plan, how Chinese government in terms of policies would support people stayed here for many times, for many years, people who understand China, people who like China. How would Chinese government make these people to integrate into Chinese society more comfortably? Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Very good. We have 5 minutes or less than 5 minutes left. So let's do a round of rapid fire, one last round, starting with Salsa. If you have to introduce China and the China life to your friends in Indonesia and ASEAN, what keywords would you pick?
The key point is in here, very convenient. Especially I want to mention, maybe if I can, we have a sharing bike in here, which is very, very good and convenience. You can go and find it anywhere, which is it's also sustainability, and then which everyone's comfortable to go with.
Victor, what about you? How would you describe modern day China to your friends in Latin America?
I think the main word for me is alive. China is alive. It's dynamic, it's complex, but it's modern. I think alive is what fascinates me in China. It has done so since day one, and it still does 10 years later. And China is alive, things change, it's dynamic. And in here, I do feel things are happening, and they are happening in here. And I would like to make my contribution for them to keep happening.
And that's a very original phrase. David, what about you?
Why I come to China? What would I say? No matter you like it or not, China is here, full of interesting things just happening right now. Come here and see yourself.
Wow.
So 3 words would be dynamic, welcoming, surprising.
Wow, this is like you're doing a country promo for us. Very good. We should, maybe our Ministry of Tourism should hire you as a foreign representative. Stella, you have the final word?
Yeah, I would say multifaceted, challenging, and innovative.
Very good, very good. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, we had such a fun time talking with you, shaping a shared future, China's next 5 years. That is the CGTN Special Roundtable on China's past 5 years, and looking forward to the next 5 as China maps out its 15th five-year plan. I want to give a special thanks to all of our guests joining us today and to all of you tuning in to this special program. I'm Wang Guan in Beijing. I'll see you again soon.